Welcome to this podcast episode brought to you by AGS Agriculture Global Solutions, your partner for better oil palm farming. Today we are exploring a brilliant cost-saving trick for your nurseries that replaces expensive chemical fertilizers with simple, everyday organic waste. Register now on cropdrive.ai. Use the tool completely free of charge, no hidden fees, no conditions. CropDrive helps you improve your oil palm growing skills. Subscribe to our channel so you do not miss key oil palm best practice episodes. So, imagine holding just a small spoonful of your morning coffee grounds.
Right, like just a tiny amount.
Yeah, exactly. Now, imagine that tiny spoonful has the power to, completely replace those heavy, expensive bags of chemical fertilizers sitting in your storage shed right now. In this deep dive, we're taking a really hard look at your nursery operations and how a common household waste products might actually be the key to stronger seedlings and, well, a much healthier profit margin.
It's a really fascinating shift, honestly, in how we think about feeding young palms because the nursery stage is undeniably the most critical window for your crops. I mean, the structural integrity built in those first few months, it dictates the resilience of that palm for the next 20 to 30 years out in the field.
Oh, absolutely. And we both know farmers live and die by the margins.
Yeah, they do.
And right now, those margins are getting squeezed so tightly by inorganic chemical fertilizers.
Yeah.
You buy those heavy bags of NPK, the prices just keep climbing every single season, and they eat right into your profits before you've even, moved a single plant into the main field.
Exactly. It's a huge upfront cost.
Plus, there's a long-term cost, right? Constantly dumping synthetic chemicals into your poly bags can severely degrade the soil biology over time. You put smallholder farmers in this vicious cycle of dependency.
It really does. And to find a practical way out of that exact dependency, we need to look at a highly targeted study. This was conducted in 2022 in Pahang, Malaysia.
Okay, Malaysia. That's prime oil palm territory.
Right. And the scientists running this experiment, they wanted to see if common everyday agricultural and household waste could actually replace inorganic chemicals for growing robust oil palm seedlings. They set up their trials dealing with the exact same harsh tropical weather you face every day. We're talking about midday temperatures pushing up to 38 degrees Celsius.
Which is brutal. I mean, that means we're dealing with real-world farming conditions, not just a perfectly climate-controlled laboratory. Let's get right into the mechanics of it. How did they actually set up the nursery for this trial?
So the methodology closely mirrors standard smallholder nursery practices. They took 3-month-old tenera seedlings and planted them in standard 50 by 38 centimeter poly bags, and they filled those bags with 100% pure mineral soil.
Just standard mineral soil.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't use any expensive commercial potting mixes or complex soil blends, just straight mineral soil. Then they let the seedlings settle and acclimate for exactly 1 month. Only after that 1-month waiting period did they apply their treatments. They tested 3 types of organic waste, goat manure, fish waste, and coffee waste. But the defining detail of the entire study is the volume.
Okay, what was the volume?
They applied exactly 10 grams of the organic waste to each treated bag and compared this against a control group that received absolutely 0 fertilizer.
Okay, let's unpack this. Wait, 10 grams is basically just a small spoonful.
Yeah, it's very small.
Can that tiny amount of waste really do the heavy lifting of a dense, expensive chemical fertilizer?
Yeah.
I mean, I've walked through nurseries where farmers are practically shoveling NPK into these poly bags just to force the seedlings to green up.
Oh, I know. I understand the skepticism completely. It sounds impossibly small. But that reaction, it really highlights a fundamental misunderstanding of how organic matter works compared to synthetic chemicals.
How so?
Well, chemical fertilizers are highly water-soluble. So when you dump a handful into a poly bag and then water it, a massive portion of those nutrients simply flushes right through the bottom of the bag and is lost.
Right, it just washes away.
Exactly. You have to use large volumes just to ensure the plant catches a fraction of it. Organic fertilizers, however, don't work by overwhelming the plant with a massive, immediate dose of free-floating nutrients.
So they integrate with the soil microbiome instead.
Precisely. They act as a biological catalyst. The researchers wanted to observe foundational growth over a steady 14-week period. By applying just 10 grams, they wanted to see if this minimal, highly economical amount could trigger the soil microbes to start breaking down the organic matter.
Creating a slow feed.
Yes, creating a continuous, slow drip feed of nutrients without the need for large, expensive volumes of material.
Okay, so out of the goat manure, the fish waste, and the coffee waste, which one actually did the heavy lifting? Which one won?
The clear champion across the board was the coffee waste.
Really? Coffee waste.
Yeah. It outperformed the other organic materials and the control group across almost every single metric. It proves to be an incredibly smart, cheap choice for smallholder farmers looking to cut costs without sacrificing the physical quality of their seedlings.
Well, let's get into the actual data then. What did the frond counts look like by the end of those 14 weeks?
The leaf development was honestly remarkable. Overall, the organic fertilizers increased the number of fronds by 28 to 46% compared to the unfertilized control group.
Wow, that's a significant bump.
It is. But the seedlings treated specifically with coffee waste grew an average of 8 new fronds compared to just 5 for the control.
Going from 5 to 8 fronds is essentially a 60% jump in the amount of solar panels on that young plant.
Exactly. And furthermore, frond length increased by an incredible 80%.
Wait, 80%. But my immediate worry as a farmer is top heaviness. If my polybag seedling is suddenly growing massive, long leaves, a stiff breeze or a heavy rain is going to snap the stem, did the trunk growth actually keep up with that massive canopy?
That's the exact right question to ask, because a tall, leafy palm is entirely useless if the base is weak. But the plant girth, meaning the thickness of the trunk, responded beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah, trunk thickness increased by up to 41%. Specifically, the seedlings treated with coffee waste reached a very solid, sturdy 5.34 centimeters in girth.
Over 5 centimeters, wow.
Right. That provides the robust, thick physical architecture you absolutely need to support those longer fronds before you ever think about moving a seedling out to the main field.
So more fronds, longer fronds, and a thick 5.34 centimeter base. But let's talk about the color. As a field advisor, the first thing I look for when I walk into a nursery is that deep, rich green. It's the universal sign of health.
Well, the study tracked leaf chlorophyll content, and it increased by over 11% in the seedlings treated with organic fertilizer.
11%, okay.
Yeah, and chlorophyll is the pigment responsible for that deep green color, but more importantly, it's the engine of photosynthesis. An 11% increase means those leaves aren't just greener, they're dramatically more efficient at capturing sunlight and converting it into food.
Here's where the data tells a really interesting story, though. When you look at the actual height of the plants, the results might make a traditional farmer a bit nervous. The overall plant height didn't suddenly shoot up to the sky after applying the coffee waste, did it?
No, it didn't. And to understand why that happened and why it's actually a good thing, we have to look at the relative growth rate.
Okay.
When you say relative growth rate, or RGR, we're talking about the speed at which the plant increases its overall mass over a specific period. The RGR and the overall plant height did not spike immediately. First, use the full-term relative growth rate, then RGR.
Got it.
So statistically, the vertical height of the organically fertilized plants wasn't massively taller than the others in the early stages.
So a chemical fertilizer is like giving the plant a sudden sugar rush. It shoots up quickly but leaves it vulnerable. But this organic coffee waste is like a hearty, slow-cooked meal. It takes time to digest, but it builds a thicker, stronger trunk and longer, greener fronds.
That analogy hits the nail on the head. Chemical fertilizers dump all their highly soluble nutrients at once. The plant stretches up fast, often resulting in a spindly seedling.
Right, which nobody wants.
Exactly. Organic fertilizer acts as a slow-release mechanism. It gradually feeds the soil biology, which then gradually feeds the roots. The vertical height will naturally come in due time, but the structural integrity is being built properly from day one.
We've covered what's happening above the ground. The canopy is thicker, greener, and more efficient.
Yeah.
But to really understand why this trick works so well, we have to look beneath the surface. We need to talk about the dirt inside that 50 by 38 centimeter polybag.
Yes. The soil environment is where the unseen mechanics really happen. And to appreciate it, we have to address the hidden danger of relying on inorganic fertilizers. Over time, they drop the soil pH, making the soil highly acidic.
Right, we always hear the advice to watch your pH, but let's break down the actual biology. What is the actual mechanical failure happening in the soil when it gets too acidic?
It comes down to mineral toxicity. When the soil pH drops and becomes too acidic, it triggers a chemical reaction that solubilizes elements like aluminum and manganese.
Okay.
These elements are naturally present in almost all tropical mineral soils, but they are usually locked away in a solid, harmless state. Acidity unlocks them.
And what happens when they get unlocked?
Once they become soluble, they effectively burn the root tips of the young palms. This root damage poisons the plant and physically prevents it from absorbing water and vital nutrients, no matter how much fertilizer you add.
Oh, wow. So a farmer could be spending hard-earned cash on synthetic fertilizers, dumping them into the polybag, and inadvertently unlocking aluminum poison right next to their own plant's roots.
Exactly. It's a silent killer in the nursery.
How does the coffee waste actually fix this?
Coffee waste actively balances the soil pH. It increases the pH by 0.5 to 1.0 units.
That's a huge shift.
It is. It brings that acidic soil back into the healthy sweet spot for crops, completely neutralizing the threat of aluminum toxicity.
So a single spoonful of coffee waste acts like a chemical shield for the root system. But correcting the acid problem isn't the only benefit below the surface, is it? There's also water retention.
Yes, and this brings us to a vital metric called relative water content.
Okay.
Relative water content, or RWC, measures exactly how much water the plant's leaves are successfully holding on to. The Pahang research demonstrated that organic fertilizers significantly improve the seedling's RWC.
I mean, if you're farming in a hot tropical climate and the midday sun is just beating down on your black polybags at 38 degrees Celsius, keeping water inside the leaf structure is a matter of life and death.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is that by using organic waste, the farmer isn't just feeding the seedling, they are repairing the soil chemistry and building a sustainable microenvironment in the polybag. They act like a sponge, keeping moisture locked in the soil so the seedling doesn't stress during hot days.
Okay, we've broken down the science and the data. Coffee waste gives us a stronger, greener plant, stops root-burning acidity, and holds water like a sponge. Now let's translate this into a daily and monthly routine. Let's build a clear action plan for the farmer listening right now.
Let's start with the setup. You fill your standard polybags with mineral soil, plant your 3-month-old tenera seedlings, and then wait 1 month.
Wait, why wait a full month? Why not give them the nutrients right away to kickstart the growth?
You need to let the seedling acclimate. Transplanting causes microscopic root trauma. If you introduce fertilizers immediately, you risk overwhelming a root system that is trying to heal.
That makes perfect sense. So after 1 month, you apply just 10 grams of coffee waste. Or fish or goat waste if coffee is unavailable, right?
Exactly. Once your organic waste is applied, you transition into your daily maintenance routine. You need to water the seedlings twice a day, ensuring they get about 2 liters of water daily.
2 liters, got it. What about the weeds?
You must practice manual weeding, pulling weeds by hand from inside and around the polybag. You don't want weeds stealing the slow-releasing nutrients or acting as a bridge for pests.
And when you're walking the rows of your nursery, checking on your investment, tell the farmer exactly what to look for.
Monitor the deep green color of the leaves for the chlorophyll and measure the thickening of the girth. And reassure yourself not to panic if the plant height doesn't shoot up overnight.
Quick clarifying question. If a farmer is nervous about making the switch, should they mix the coffee waste with their usual expensive chemicals just to be safe?
While some farmers use mixtures, this specific research proves that organic waste alone is powerful enough to support exceptional nursery growth, allowing the farmer to completely cut out chemical costs at this early stage.
That's a massive relief for the wallet. Imagine if the future of your farming business doesn't depend on expensive imported chemical bags, but rather on the discarded coffee grounds and organic waste from your local community, turning local trash into agricultural treasure.
It's a completely different way to look at farming.
Remember to visit our AI farming assistant at crocdrive.ai to learn more on how to increase your oil palm yields and incomes. Thanks for listening.